Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsay's Little Library. So I'm here today to give you guys some really awesome book recommendations for the Historathon Readathon that I'm hosting with Gloria and Layna in November. So it's a month-long readathon. We have 9 prompts for you to follow and a little bingo board here to take a look at. We're also going to be doing a group read, so I'll talk about that one as well. But I thought I'd hop on here and give you an idea of what books I would pick for each of the prompts that I've already read, and I highly recommend every single one of them. So here we go. First, definitely pick up the Briar Club. This is the group read that we're reading for Historathon. We're going to have a discussion in December live on our channel. Highly encourage you to pick this one up, even if this is the only one that you grab. Read it. It's going to be great. I cannot wait. I've heard such good things about this, so can't wait for that. What is it about? 1950s, a boarding house where all women live, and it sounds like there's a little mystery behind each and every one of them. And at one point, I believe, what is it? When a shocking act of violence tears the house apart, the women must decide once and for all who is the true enemy within their midst. It's set around the McCarthy era, so there's lots of suspicions on who to trust and stuff like that. So I've heard it's great. But anyways, for the 9 prompts that we have, I have a book for each of them. So the first prompt we have is historical era exploration. Choose a book set in an era that you're not necessarily familiar with, not an era that you tend to gravitate towards. And I can't help but thinking about this one, Jodi Picoult's By Any Other Name. It's a dual timeline book, and it is centered around the Shakespeare time. We follow Emily Basato as she finds herself desperate to be able to do what she loves, which is to write plays, yet as a woman is not necessarily appreciated for that. So this idea that she is the real voice behind Shakespeare. So we follow her life as well as the present day Melina, as she's taking a similar approach and putting a male name on her playwright. Lots of stuff in here, lots of really great quotes. I have so many tabs in this book. It was beautiful. It was fantastic. I highly recommend that one. The next prompt I have is famous historical figures. I am going to go with The First Ladies. This is by Marie Benedict and Victoria Christopher Murray. This was so great. This follows Eleanor Roosevelt and Mary McClellan Bethune. It explores their relationship and friendship as Eleanor Roosevelt is trying to figure out her kind of spot and where she fits in as being a first lady, and then her friendship with civil rights activist Mary McLeod Bethune. It was gorgeous. It was fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. Highly recommend that one as well. Next one I have, our next prompt, is a historical romance, and this one I could not help but think about The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhon. This one follows a midwife in the late 1700s, so that could also fulfill the first prompt, historical era exploration, if you don't necessarily read books around that time. But we have our midwife who's been doing this for years, is fantastic at it. And she is called to help kind of decide what happened behind this mystery. They found a body in the frozen river that had been there for a while, and trying to figure out what exactly happened with that. Doesn't necessarily sound like a romance to me, but the romance between our main character, the midwife, and her husband is so sweet and so prevalent, and really does become a big part of the story, in my opinion. I think it was fantastic. Highly recommend Frozen River. Then we have a historical mystery, so read a historical mystery or thriller, historical setting with a suspenseful plot. And for this one, Kate Morton, I almost messed that up. Kate Morton is a go-to author for something like that. This one, The Forgotten Garden, is the first book that I read by her. I know they're a little chunky, but they do go fairly quickly. So this one follows a girl who's abandoned on a ship headed for Australia in 1913. She arrives alone with nothing, a small suitcase, and that's about it. She's taken in by the dockmaster and his wife and raises their own. On her 21st birthday, they tell her the truth, and she kind of journeys out to figure out where she came from, what's the mystery behind kind of her life. So definitely mysterious, not like thrillery, but there's a mystery to it, and most of her books follow some sort of mystery and a historical setting. So highly recommend Kate Morton. Next one we have is a social issue or cultural perspective. These are pretty easy to come across. Something where a crucial part of the story has to do with a social issue, something like that. So I'm going to suggest Looking for Jane. This is Heather Marshall. Very timely for this book as well. This follows 3 timelines. So we have 2017, 1971, and 1980. 3 women's lives are bound together by a long-lost letter, a mother's love, and a secret network of people fighting for the right to choose. So this definitely has pro-choice elements to it. It takes place, I believe, in Canada, and really centers around the Jane Network, which was an actual thing. Definitely recommend this one. This one, just the perspectives. She does such a great job. Who wrote this? Heather Marshall. She does such a great job of really showing both sides and then what these 3 women went through. I loved it. It was great. Next one is historical fiction with a strong sense of place. So where the setting is a crucial part of the story, vivid descriptions, historical accuracy, it really just immerses you into that time and place. And I'm going to tell you, Patty Callahan's Surviving Savannah did that for me 100%. This one follows the true events surrounding the steamship Pulaski. The ship sank after a boiler explosion in 1838, and the wreckage was just discovered. We have our present day Everly, who is a guest curator at a museum. She can't resist the opportunity to try to solve some of the mysteries and myths surrounding the devastating night of its sinking. This leads her to the history of a family of 11 who boarded it together. And of 2 women from this family, a known survivor, Augusta Longstreet, and her niece Lily, were never found. And it sounds like they were a fairly well-to-do family, but there's definitely a history or a mystery around it. Very good mystery around it. So we go back and forth in time, 1838, and then present day is a lovely book, but you are definitely there. You're definitely in Savannah. You can feel the heat of Savannah and the mugginess of Savannah, and then the entire event of what happened that night that the boiler exploded. You're there. Absolutely. Patty Callahan does an amazing job of doing that. So I also recommend that one. The next prompt I have is a historical nonfiction hybrid. So this is a historical fiction book that brings in true events and incorporates either historical documents or narrative or something truthful mixing with the fiction, if that makes sense. So this one I have The Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek by Kim Michelle Richardson. This one follows Cussie Mary Carter as she becomes a member of the Packhorse Library program that Roosevelt started. And this takes place in Troublesome Creek, Kentucky. And so she is determined to bring library and books to people who don't normally or necessarily have easy access to it. But within this Appalachian community, there's definitely a lot of speculation and a lot of hesitancy with this, as well as Cussie is kind of an outcast herself. She is part of the blue-skinned people of Kentucky. Her skin has a blue tint to it. And so this is inspired by those people, as well as the people dedicated to the Packhorse Library system. So in this book, at least in my copy, towards the back, you have your photographs and maps and information, not only about that family, but about the Packhorse Library project. So there is my hybrid, but it is a fictional, historical fiction story. There is also a second book to this, so I really think I want to add that one to my list to fulfill this prompt, but highly recommend that one. The next prompt I have is a historical fiction adaptation, so something that's been adapted from a book and made into a movie or a TV series, and I feel this is the one that came to mind, and I know probably a number of people have read it, but if you're new to the historical fiction genre and you haven't picked up The Help, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. This is by Catherine Stockett. This is set in 1960s Jackson, Mississippi, and we have Aibileen, who's raising her 17th white child. She and her friend Minnie have been kind of nannies and house guests their entire life, and definitely some civil rights issues still going on at this point in time. And then they meet Skeeter, and Skeeter decides to write the truth, really, about what is happening with the help. The book comes out. It's fantastic. It's hilarious. It's great. And the movie is just as phenomenal. So I feel like I'm cheating a little bit, but if you haven't read The Help, pick that up, please, right now, please. And then the last prompt to talk about is War and Conflict. This one I'm going to go with a little bit different because I think it's a cool book, but we're talking about The Lovely War by Julie Berry. So this one takes place during both World War I and World War II, and it's written in such a unique way. So basically we are kind of interviewing the gods that hold the fates and hearts of four mortals in their hands, basically. So Hazel, James, Aubrey, and Colette are the four mortals. They are part of the U.S. Army, and there's connections with all four of them. But the way it's written is we are kind of interviewing each of the gods and getting their perspective. So we have Hades, Apollo, Aphrodite, Ares. I think that was all of them. And we're getting this story through their lens. And the whole premise of the book is kind of like, can you have love without war? Can you have war without love? So loved this book so very, very much. I even have notes still in it. It's great. Oh yeah. The relationship between the gods is hilarious. It's fantastic. I loved it. Highly recommend this one as well. So those are my 9 recommendations for each of the prompts. Hopefully that helps give you an idea of what books could or could not fit in each of those prompts. Again, this readathon is just meant to be fun and to read some historical fiction. So if your books that you pick don't fit any prompts, it's okay. There's no Historathon police coming after you. If you find a book that fits more than one prompt, absolutely use that one. My only, I guess, request is I would love it if you would read The Briar Club by Kate Quinn at least, and then come to the discussion. Again, all of those details will be coming out as we get closer to the end of November. So keep an eye on the channel. Otherwise, leave any comments below of any books that you would recommend that would fit these prompts, and we can kind of share them with everyone. Otherwise, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.